Professor. You're looking lovely as ever. Are you working today? You gotta take a day sometime. Get out in the world and have some fun. Right? Sometimes you gotta forget all the things you ought to do and focus on what you'd rather do.
Yeah. And Triform Trinity says, I'm half with the Black Eagles, but that's also because I don't trust the church. That might also be because you, the character, is living in a country neutral towards the rest, but are forced to join one of the three sides no matter what. Okay. I chose that exact route. I played as the Black Eagles, and I thought that the twist was weird, but I didn't want to let Edelgard go. And that was... I wasn't... Okay. I don't think it was so much Edelgard, because I didn't get into her like that. I think she's a weird character in this game. Probably the most important of the students, but I did not emotionally connect with her like I thought I would. But I didn't trust the church, to your point. Like, I've never trusted the church, and playing through that part and seeing that moment was like, yep, this is why I don't trust the church. And now playing as the Blue Lions, like, you're still defending the church, but I still get the sense of, like, are these guys really on the up and up? Well, is one person in particular on the up and up? And I don't think so. The twist was too easy to see miles away.
Hey, we should go get something to eat. My treat.
There we go. Well, Sylvain, what do you want?
What? I can't invite my professor to dinner without it being a scam? Okay, fine. You got me. I need to ask a favor, and I wanted a way to work up the courage to ask you.
So now that you've seen, like, you've pretty much seen all this game has to offer, would you actually, like, when you get your Switch, still buy Fire Emblem and play through it for yourself?
There are thieves in my family's territory. I was wondering if you'd go with me to drive them off. You remember the thief leader you fought at Conan Tower, yeah? That's right. Although he's dead now, what's left of his band of thieves is causing trouble in Gautier territory. My father has asked me to come home and put down those murderous jerks. But he's asked for me to come alone. No knights, no backup of any sort. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, Sylvain. Yep, you don't get a 100% grasp on how the game mechanics work just by watching. This is true. And plus, you enjoy Fire Emblem. Ah, me too. What's your Fire Emblem backstory? Like, how did you get into the series?
Because he thinks he'd lose face asking the church for help. I don't know. He could have asked another trusted house to send troops, but he only asked me.
Playing through Awakening right now on Lunatic Classic. Ah, Awakening is a fantastic game.
He probably has some other motive.
Did I beat it on Lunatic?
Maybe he just wants me to get some more experience in battle. A crazy way to suggest it, though.
I think I did, or I got stuck at the very final boss. It was one of those.
I'm not going
I know
alone,
for sure
no matter what he
GameCube,
asks.
I played on the
going to
hardest
ask some of the
difficulty
others
and
in
I
the
got
class
stuck
to
on the
help
final
too.
boss. I just was not leveled up
But
enough
none
to
of us
beat
have your experience.
that
If
boss.
you'd come with us, I'd be grateful. Great. I'll talk to the others and see who's in. Thanks, Professor.
I actually published a tier list recently on my site, and I did like tier lists of like bottom tier, mid tier, top tier, although I'd say there's no real bad games in the Fire Emblem series. And I put Three Houses and Awakening in that top tier, along with Path of Radiance. And then Form, you say, interesting question. I played Fire Emblem on the Game Boy way back as a kid, but it was too hard to understand, so I never touched it again. That's fair. Those Game Boy Advance games, like, that's where I started as well, but I think I had some experience because I played the Advance Wars games, and they're kind of like, it's a different flavor of turn-based strategy. Like, and I loved Advance Wars so much, and when I heard they were making another turn-based strategy game, I was like, yep, playing that. And then I fell in love with Fire Emblem as well. But there's a lot of nuance to Fire Emblem, and you can just play that game straight up wrong. I played that first Fire Emblem game wrong to the point where it was impossible for me to beat. I misleveled my team to the point where by the time I got to the end, no one could beat I didn't have enough strength to beat the final boss. And then you say, many years later, a woman I was trying to get into a relationship with introduced me to the game again with the funny reaction that I instantly went hardest difficulty with Awakening. So only the Game Boy versions Awakening and Heroes will love to play the rest. Okay. Well, yeah, I would... Oh, man, Cyril's on the squad. Do I have to have... I guess I do. We have way too many archers here, by the way. We can switch Ignatz to this side for... I'd say Sylvain. Okay, Lawrence. The Game Boy ones are great, though. I think there are aspects of the Game Boy Advance ones that, like, never came back. There's a certain level of complexity in how you recruit people and how you fight and the objectives that are lost to time. And it's kind of sad that that stuff kind of went away. But I understand why. Some of it was really dense and obtuse. Of like, hey, this character is going to show up on the battlefield, and you have to know to bring Bob and run Bob across the map and risk his life in order to recruit this one character. Like, that's gone from this series. At least this game.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Thieves are still carrying what they stole, so we have a chance to get it back. Gotta be careful, though. They'll run off faster than a nobleman's daughter if we just rush in.
Will admit I cannot get my head around as to why Lynn is the most popular character. I love Lynn. I love Lynn so much. I think just the small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere, and she ends up being this, like, besides being a princess, she's just like this super incredible ninja. And for a franchise where the graphics are not always the greatest, Lynn basically just like teleporting across the screen and then slicing people in half, like darting at every angle, is the single coolest thing in this entire series across every single game. Strictly in terms of visuals. Nothing looks cooler than that.
Oh, me?
My father is offering a reward for every thief and rogue we take out. The more you beat, the more you get. Just remember, you gotta take them down fast. They'll bolt as soon as they're hurt. Take the strongholds and we cut off their escape route.
Okay. Is Lysithea gonna be able to take this hit? Oh, she's gonna smash him in one shot. Alright, let's go for it.
You were outmatched.
Nice. What kind of bandits are they? I don't know. There's a lot of them, though. So many bandits on this, otherwise, just like side map, Paralogue map.
I stand ready.
Slap. Ugh, my feelings. Runs away. Oh, he's not going to do any damage on Lawrence? Yeah, let's do that.
I thought I gave it my all.
Let's get to
So
it.
now that you're playing Awakening right now, like, what are your thoughts
Who,
on
me?
that game? Enjoying it, not enjoying it? Do you find the whole making babies mechanic weird? What is your Fire Emblem history too? Ah, okay. So, I started playing Fire Emblem in...
Ready when you are.
They came out at, like... How do I say this?
Ready and willing.
I was a big Advance Wars fan. Like, I remember reading the IGN review of Advance Wars, which is like the sister game of Fire Emblem. And when I heard that they were making... They're putting out another turn-based strategy game, I was like, I'm in. Doesn't matter. This company made an amazing game. I want to play more amazing games from them. So I bought Fire Emblem, loved it,
Life doesn't always go
And
as
I
planned.
think that I love the difference between Advance Wars and Fire Emblem was the
Okay, that'll do it. Very good.
story
Now
mode
let's keep cool and
was
take out
very
the other
different,
strongholds.
and the fact that you were playing as individual characters and not disposable armies, and that part was really cool. And you were leveling up these characters, and you developed this investment with them. And I've played every Fire Emblem since that has come out in North America. I haven't played any of the ones that came out in Japan.
Ready
Actually, that's not
anytime.
entirely true. I played one on an emulator, and it was in Japanese, and I was like, I have
Stay
no
focused.
idea what I'm doing right now. Let's back up here a bit.
I'm on it.
So yeah, I played one on an emulator in Japanese. I didn't really know what I was doing. But otherwise, I've played every game in the series. And I think they're all at least good. I think some of them have aged really poorly, like the oldest games, the remakes. They're really tough to go back to. But the new one, like, I feel like, generally speaking, the series has gotten progressively better with time. I remember that feeling with, I don't know what's happening or what I'm doing, but it looks cool.
You must all do.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that the Fire Emblem games don't teach you. That you either just kind of never figure out, or you learn them along the way, or you read a wiki and are like, oh, that's how that thing works. And so I've definitely learned a lot of weird lessons on how to play, or like my approach to playing Fire Emblem. Of like how I maneuver around the map, and how I organize my units and all that stuff, and how I fight the last boss. Well, Three Houses is, by numbers and vocals in the community, the most popular Fire Emblem game ever. Yes, it sold incredibly well. The fact that it was in North America, or in the US at least, it was the number 2 selling game on the NPD charts, not including digital, and the only thing that beat it was Madden. Like, North American football is a huge deal in the US, but for Fire Emblem to put up those kinds of numbers is unreal. I remember like reading articles about, hey, this might be the last Fire Emblem game because these don't sell very well, and that might be the end of it, and being horrified about that. And now here we are, where it's like the number 2 selling game, period, across everything.
Huh?
Nuts.
Worked out.
Absolutely nuts. And I almost feel like
I'll try
a
even
proud
harder.
dad who's been with his kid for, like, supporting his kid since the beginning, and now seeing them grow up and achieve their dreams. It's a weird thing. I don't feel this with any other game series than this one, just because I've been there for so long and championed these games at a time when nobody knew what the heck Fire Emblem was. And Triform Trinity says, here's the thing I absolutely love about Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's fully voice acted for every single character, which now is like how The Witcher 3 made a point what games are supposed to do in a genre from there on to be considered amazing. Okay, so, like, yes, the voice acting really helps to sell the particular story that they're trying to sell in this particular game. Does every game have to be voice acted? I don't necessarily think so. Like, I think we're never going to get voice acting in a Zelda game, and I don't think that's going to stop those games from being incredible. But I also know that's not going to stop people from asking for voice acting. I think at this point it's just an artistic decision, and some developers will want the voice acting and some won't. But I guess there's also the, like, is this an artistic decision, or do you not have enough money to put voice acting in? And in some cases, it hurts more than others. Japanese games need to be fully voice acted from now on. Do not go back to the 50-50. Either go full, or at least let the players have an option in the sound menu to turn it on or off. Okay, I would have to think about that more. I would generally disagree, but I think I understand what you're getting at. And there are certain games that absolutely will have benefited greatly from having voice acting in them versus not. Okay, do we want to run Ignatz? Would love to have a gaming gripes talk about with you sometime. Alright, we can do that now. Like, what are your gaming gripes? Tell me all about them. Tell me how you really feel. Alright, Marianne, you're gonna run to the south here, and you're gonna smash this guy with your Nosferatu.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, tell me some of your gaming gripes.
I wonder.
I would have to think about this, but you start the conversation. I know there are things that annoy me about games, though. Oh, cheeky you, but usually it goes in a different way. Ooh, he's gonna get a lot of damage on that. I need to punish this
Now's
guy.
our chance.
Nice. I've been playing Dr. Mario World on iOS. And I mean, this is like a common complaint. It's mobile games. Like, this is bound to happen. And I guess it's a little more acceptable because it's a free-to-play game, but I really dislike how when you're playing that game and you get really stuck on a level, and it really feels like that level is designed in such a way where you either have to have everything fall in your favor, or it's impossible to beat unless you spend money. And that, like, I understand free-to-play games, you gotta get your money somehow, but when it's like, when you can feel it in the game design that you're trying to squeeze money out of me in this particular moment, oh, it feels gross. So gross. Well, the voice acting being, I'm not gonna, okay, half-hearted in Japanese games. This is true. So there's one. The English dubs of stuff going from Japan to English can be really weird. And do I have an axe here? Yes, I have an axe. Okay, I can take this guy on hand to hand. And yeah, there's some reasons for that. I've been watching some voice. I've been to like conventions that have had voice actors at them recently. They talked about the process of why some of that happens. But it's still like, the point is like, hey, this could be better than it should be better than where it is from time to time. And then going 50-50, yeah, where they'll read like the first line, or they'll give you a summary of what the text bubble is, but they don't say the actual thing. Which really annoys me when it clearly shows the developers put care into their game, but they can... Okay, you want to see, yeah, all or nothing.
It's predictable. Watch him now.
It was the one thing I didn't enjoy in Persona 5, even though I really liked that game. 300 plus hours to beat on the first playthrough. See, once you get to that point, 300 plus hours, there's got to be some like budget constraints at that point, right? 300 plus hours of voice actor, of acting, I would imagine being very expensive. And not to say it wouldn't be a better game with that much voice acting, but that's a lot. Okay, so she's not going to be able to take that out by herself. Let's go run Ignatz over here, get that win.
Who knew?
300 hours. Wow.
I feel like I've grown.
That is a lot for a single player game. And just to beat the story too. Wow. Get him, Sylvain. Oh, 300 plus hours was just what it took me to beat the game. You can do it in like 50 to 80 hours. Oh, okay. Dude, were you... Wow, you could have beat it in 50 to 80 and you spent 300? What were you... You trying to, like, I guess, 100% it?
It's time.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of extra content as well. Farming, fishing, persona, Pokemon catching. Okay. But yeah, I mean, kudos to you for going in and getting the full experience out of your game like that. Especially a game you like. If you enjoy it, play as much of it as you can.
One more stronghold taken, and one more escape route blocked. There are still some strongholds left. Professor, which should we go for first?
Oh, for real? He's gonna dodge a lot of that?
Not so fast.
You have a problem. No, you don't have a problem. You are enjoying the game that you purchased, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can enjoy it however you want. Well, unless you're like hacking an online game and you're ruining the experience for others. As long as you're not ruining it for others, then do whatever you want. Oh man, it's getting hot up on this side of the map. Man, Cyril, you need to be better. I need you to step it up, kid. Yeah, personally with single-player games, I don't play them that thoroughly, to be honest. I play to see the main story, and then I kind of move on.
Naturally.
And then Triform says, from what you mentioned earlier, though, hopefully the developers
Still not
of
satisfying.
that kind will learn and be better. Laws around the world are getting tougher for games with that type of money squeezing. Yeah, with the loot boxes and stuff. Although, that said, I have a hot take on loot boxes, too. I don't think loot boxes are inherently
Takes care
bad.
of that.
As a mechanic, very strict, the idea of like giving you a box and having stuff in it, and maybe there's duplicates in it sometimes, and there's rarity levels and stuff, like at a root level, I don't think that's bad. I think there are ways of doing loot boxes that are not scummy and horrible, but I think a lot of people are doing them in scummy and horrible ways, and that's the problem. But I think I don't think loot boxes themselves are inherently bad, it's the way that they are implemented. Well, did you see the lovely loot box mechanic in the new basketball game? Yes! And like the trailer literally shows a again like a slot machine in it. It's gross. Like I said, there are a lot of people that are doing it gross. 2K has been at the forefront of gross microtransactions. Never knew a pachinko machine was possible to make it that way. I hear you, man.
You lost to me?
And that's like they've had like really gross microtransactions for years
Don't
where
expect much more than that.
your created character is pretty much garbage forever until you put money in to buy XP to make your character better and just be like an average NBA player who can score like 8 to 10 points a game.
Should I have held back?
And there's other people who just feel like, ah, here's another one.
We must all.
I've seen people who just say like all DLC is bad. I disagree with that. I love the idea of being able to get more stuff
Well done.
for a game that wouldn't have been in the game otherwise, or I would have had to buy like a whole other version of the game to get that stuff. I think there are like, for example, Rock Band. I think it's amazing that I could pick and choose every single song that I wanted and build my version of Rock Band any way I want. And I spent over $1,000 on DLC in that game because I thought it was that good, and I love the convenience. I love not having to buy a disc every year with 40 songs that I liked and 40 songs that I couldn't care about. But yeah, I don't think DLC is inherently bad. I think there's some messaging about it that's really weird and gross. I think that it's weird. Like, announcing DLC for a game before it launches, I don't think is inherently wrong, but the optics of it are terrible.
There's
Always
still a
depends on the
long
game
way
and how
to go.
DLC is implemented. Yes.
Another escape route blocked.
I think the practice
We're nearly
of
done.
showing what DLC is coming before the game comes
Take
out
those thieves.
is... Oh, jeez. I think I'm gonna have to rewind here. Yeah. Lysithea is... She's not gonna survive that hit, so we're gonna
Leave
pull
it
her
to me.
back and take a chill pill. Some years ago, look... Years at The Witcher 3 as an example again. Newer games, look at Smash Bros. Yeah, see, like, Smash Bros is great. They added those characters on top. They announced them after the fact. I think announcing beforehand just makes people feel like, oh, I didn't get the entire game because you are selling this part of it separately. And that might not be entirely true, but it does feel that way when they do it. And people want to feel like I got the full experience when I bought the $60 game, or whatever the price is. I paid full price, I want the whole thing. But I think there's a level where it goes too far. I think to pay $60 and get everything that that comes out after the fact on top of that, I don't think that's necessarily
I
fair.
stand ready.
But yeah, Rocket League's another one I point out where DLC isn't bad. Yeah. And they're taking out their loot boxes in that game as well, and that stuff's always been cosmetic and doesn't compromise the core gameplay at all.
Ready and willing.
And yes, there is some good DLC and some bad DLC. I don't like season passes when they ask you to buy a season pass and don't tell you
Let's
what's
get
going
to
to be in the season pass. That's not very consumer friendly. You say pay $60 and only get half a game is bad. Yeah, the value proposition on some of that is not great. This is true. Oh man, Raphael is getting rushed down. I miss games that are finished upon release where more can come later. Yeah, I wonder how much of that is what's actually happening and what part of that can be avoided if you put out the, like, here's my plan. I have this game, I have this DLC, and I'm going to give you this game, and 3 months later, I will then announce this DLC, versus I have this game, and before it comes out, here's this DLC that's going to come out later. Like, if you don't tell me that there's this other thing waiting in the wings before this part comes out, I'm just going to perceive this as being the full game, and that whatever you put out after is cherry on the top. But if you tell me that here's this game and here's this DLC, now I think you cut out a chunk of the game in order to sell me it separate. But at the same time, I've also heard, I can't remember, unfortunately I don't have the source for this, but I feel like I've read somewhere that for a lot of companies, they actually announce that DLC before launch because that's the best time for them to advertise that stuff. Otherwise, the DLC just doesn't sell as well. Alright, Raphael. That's all on you, bro. There are actually games where DLC can build upon the core game as well. I will admit, I'm a little bit angry at Breath of the Wild 2. which is weird in a way. I don't think you should be mad at Breath of the Wild 2. Granted, it is too early to judge Breath of the Wild 2, but also it's too early to judge Breath of the Wild 2. They put out DLC after the fact. It had some stuff in it. And presumably this is going to be a considerably different experience. Well, to be fair, we don't know. But I don't think it's a problem that there is a Breath of the Wild 2 coming. Especially since they gave us DLC and added stuff after the fact. Like, I think they could let that game go. Who do we want to finish off? Yeah, we want Lawrence to finish this guy, if we can. Oh, he's not going to be able to. Damn. Okay. Hilda, that's your kill.
Another escape route blocked. We're nearly done. Take out those thieves and capture that last stronghold.
Okay, we're in a bit of a pickle here, because they're going to run towards Raphael all by himself. The DLC wasn't good for Breath of the Wild 1, but the game was made to have DLC built upon the core and make a sequel be possible within the game itself without there needing to be a completely new game from scratch. Or where they are at least using the same assets. I think they're still using the same assets. And maybe their vision for what Breath of the Wild 2 is such that it is bigger than what would be feasible or to accommodate within a Breath of the Wild. Like, I feel like if they're making a whole other game, that they're probably gonna justify not building on, like, putting it out as just a DLC pack for Breath of the Wild 1.
Stay focused.
See, I personally wouldn't be too worried. They are for the second game, but am I wrong in the fact that the sequel can actually be made within the first one? We don't know that yet.
Good run.
I think it's too early to say. We don't know anything other than that what they had in that trailer, which didn't really say much. Maybe you're thinking too much into this. Like, if we were to release... Here's one. If we were to release... If Ocarina of Time had just come out, and Nintendo said, we wanted to do Majora's Mask, but sell that on a separate disc, would there be outrage that Majora's Mask was on a separate disc and not DLC for Ocarina of Time? Even though technically those games use the same assets, but that world is very different. The story they tell is very different. They added a bunch of different assets and gameplay mechanics, and even if it was the same framework at its core. Apologies for getting heated up. Man, it's okay. It's okay. I did ask you to share your gaming gripes, and of course you were going to be upset to some capacity, and you've kept it professional. It's totally okay. I will let you know if you are going offside. Yeah, nope, as in, like, would people be upset? Yeah, I think that was also a different time. I would look at the response now to the new Breath of the Wild. I have not heard anyone say, you know what, I am mad that you are the first person I have heard say Breath of the Wild 2 should have been DLC for Breath of the Wild 1. All I've heard up to this point, and maybe I'm in the minority, and I don't know it yet, is that everyone's just excited for another Zelda game, and they would be more than happy to spend full price on another Zelda experience. We live in an era where such a feat is possible to make for a game. Possible, but it doesn't make sense. And right now we don't know if it makes sense for Breath of the Wild 2 to exist as DLC for Breath of the Wild 1. Depending on the scope, depending on what they want to add to the game, depending on... Maybe they want to add a ton of new music and they want to reshape the world. more dramatically than just using that same map. Who knows? One game I can point out that does such a thing is Hollow Knight. So that's an interesting one, because Silk Song, I heard, started as DLC, but the scope of that became so large that they're actually spinning that off into a separate thing. So yeah, that's pretty much your Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And again, if it's... you might have too big of a dream. Maybe. But yeah, that's another one where I remember reading an interview of this started as DLC, but the scope of the game expanded to a point where it was better for them to sell it as a separate thing.
I won, naturally.
Ooh. Can she take the hit from the sword guy, though? That's my million-dollar question here. Alright, YOLO. Worst case, we're gonna hit rewind. Oh, she dodged it! Nice.
I have.
Yeah, Trifle. I think what you are asking for, while it might be technically feasible, and maybe we will see that in the future when it's all streaming games, part of it's maybe not feasibility because we don't know what changes they're making, but also from a business perspective, if people are willing to buy it as a separate entity, they're going to keep selling it as a separate entity.
Won that.
How would you see or feel if a game actually did such a thing? Just making the game bigger with sequels to the main story, but built into the core of the first one, and not releasing more that way, in the way that an MMO does. Ah, there we go. So, kind of your Rocket Leagues, kind of like that, MMOs. If it makes sense within the context of the game and what they're selling, and if it makes sense as a business to continue to, like, if they can make money on that, sure, go for it. If it's consumer friendly and they can still do their thing, great. But for a single player game, if it makes sense, sure, and if they can do it. But I don't know all the things that's stopping games from doing that right now. That said, I've heard rumblings. To your point, Overwatch is one of those games where they've just iterated on it and iterated on it. Last I heard, I think it was StarCraft? Something at Blizzard got canceled so they can start working on Overwatch 2. This was on Kotaku. It was reported like a month or so back. So even a game that is one of those long-term service things still might get a sequel sold as a separate entity. There are rumors for a sequel to Overwatch, but we'll have to see at BlizzCon. Yeah, I don't think that sequel to Overwatch is going to get announced. Oh, jeez. Just hope it doesn't involve more phones. This is true. This is true. Oh, wait. How many rewinds we got? We got 2 rewinds. Okay.
I got this.
Items. Let's go beat them up, and then we'll
Leave
run
it to me.
Lysithia back here. She's got one more turn to survive. I've got to get everybody
Stay
over.
focused.
Okay, what can we
Ready anytime.
get going here? Nope, he's not going to reach. This is... I think I'm playing on casual, so if somebody dies, it shouldn't be that bad. Yeah, let's hit this guy the hardest.
I'm on it.
Let's get to it.
Ready when you are.
Who, me?
I stand ready.
Yeah, business models for games are funny. And I think they're going to change even more in the near future. Possibly sooner than we think. I think there is a chance that Google... If Google Stadia works as advertised... Okay, hold on. Let me take a step back. And Triform, you say, it's a good thing you can switch between weapons and abilities to see what does the most damage and makes the most sense against your opponents in this game. Absolutely true. It's the kind of the backbone of this whole experience is being able to... The game puts you in a bunch of situations and you have to weigh out what the best option is for you in the moment.
You were outmatched.
I'm concerned for Lysithea here because she's gonna get hit twice. Here, if I back up here, she'll only get hit by one guy instead of two. Or we take this guy. Oh, come on. There we go. Whip sword.
As expected.
Much better than Awakening. You just go with the weapon triangle and hope your weapon is better. I wouldn't say hope your weapon is better. I actually miss the weapon triangle in Three Houses. That is one of my criticisms of this game, is that I really miss the triangle. I love the rock, paper, scissors of really having to think about where your units are on the map and trying to make sure that your axe guys line up with their lance guys and your lance guys line up with their sword guys and so on. And here it just feels a little more straightforward than I'd like it to be. There's still some strategy in terms of getting the right people in the right spots, but it's a little more fluid. We will have to see if they bring it back for the next one. I think they took it away because of the way this game is designed. Just because, like, there's 3 different houses, and they're not built evenly. Like, one is... The Black Eagles have more mage characters, the Golden Deer have more archers, and the Blue Lions have more like hand-to-hand. And you can reclass people however you want, and
Thieves everywhere. I can't believe this is what the world
it just
has
doesn't
come
fit.
to.
The triangle doesn't fit because you don't know what composition of characters the player is going to have. I actually wrote an article explaining this
At least
exact
we've
thing
restored the peace
of
here,
like the differences
even if it's only for a
between
little while.
the combat system in this versus others and why they took out the attack triangle. So the 3 houses are the actual triangle? Gasp. Yeah, the houses themselves, it's like a giant triangle. Dude, we haven't even gotten to the main mission yet. Hey, the Gautier Knights. But in a weird way, yes, the actual houses are the triangle.
My thank you so much.
Professor, thank you for your help. We drove off the thieves and got a reward from my father. Job well done, eh? I spoke with my father after the battle. He confirmed that his intention was for me to claim the Lance of Ruin as my own.
Do you find it funny that the Golden Deers are shown upside down in the cover art? Like, why? No. No, I don't. I think they are the quirkier house. They don't have the same level of nobility as the other 2 houses. They're led by a fun-loving Claude.
I see why he thinks that's necessary. Still,
There's less pressure for them.
using
They're
Midcloud
kind of
for that
misfits.
purpose. If he was still alive, I wonder what he'd think of that.
It was actually funny. let me switch my camera here. All right, I haven't shown this on stream yet, but I showed a picture of it on my Instagram. Ugh. But why upside down in the cover art? Just because it looked different, and they form a triangle there. So I bought some art at a convention, Fan Expo, a couple of weeks ago. It's this three-piece thing. Hopefully I don't wreck this on the way. So it's these 3 pictures. Let me zoom back. Try and kill the glare here. It's the 3 house leaders. You can't really see it, unfortunately. Let me kill the light here. So this one's Dimitri, and you got all the students below. Then you've got Edelgard with the students below, and you have Claude with the students below. And you fit them all together, and they form one giant piece. And it looks amazing. One of my favorites. I can't wait to hang this up. I need to get a frame that can fit all 3. But the thing was, when the artist posted this on Instagram, and thank you, looks cool. Yes, I think it looks amazing. I wish I could show all 3 out when they're all linked. But when she posted the picture, 2 of the 3, well, all 3 were like lined up this way, and people on her Instagram were like, why is Claude right side up? And so actually at the show, she had the first 2 right side up, and then Claude was upside down. So the picture didn't actually line up, just because people wanted it displayed with Claude upside down. So that's just become their thing now. Alright, let me put that back in my hard plastic sleeve. Haha, well that makes sense, I guess. They've made it a thing. And now people will not have it any other way. So yeah, it's still in this plastic protector because I don't have a frame yet. I need a really big frame, and I haven't had a chance to get one yet. You're still thinking about your brother, aren't you?
I suppose I am. Miquelon hated me from the moment he found out I had a crest and he didn't. He was selfish and egotistical.
Can always build your
it's
own
not right
frame.
to say bad
Suddenly
things
become
about the
a
dead,
DIY channel.
But he earned it.
Actually,
I have to wonder though.
another thing you
What if it was
missed
the other way
while,
around?
because it's been a while since I've seen
If
you
he
here,
had the
but
crest, and I didn't.
I took up spray paint art a couple of weeks ago. Switch back. I took up spray paint art a couple of weeks ago, and I actually spray painted this piece right here with the dark sky and the moon and the clouds. And I've actually gotten to thinking of like, what if I stream doing this as a thing? There are some real technical logistics to making that work. I would have to figure out how to bring all this streaming equipment outside. I would probably need multiple cameras. But I think it would be great, like, to watch me go through the process of spray painting all that stuff. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I would probably need better gear. I'm not a particularly good artist. I thought this one turned out pretty well though. For my 5th, that was my 5th ever painting spray paint art, and the first 4 look okay as well, but that one's my favorite. I know, life is happening. Sorry about that, but we have different time zones, which makes it always hard to catch yours, double jump, and many others. Dude, don't worry about it. I'm teasing
Would
you.
I be the one my father thought was
I
worth
think it is
forgetting?
amazing that
Or
you
would
showed
my
up
fate have
at
been
all
wholly unlike
for
his?
my streams, and I appreciate you for that. Yeah, let me hit air horn for you. There we go. It means a lot,
probably
like,
right, Professor.
hearing from you that, like,
It's
it's
not
3
like
o'clock in the
Mesa.
morning and you stayed up to hang out. That's ridiculous. I appreciate it, though.
I don't pray much, but I think I'm going to pray for those who lost their lives to the thieves tonight, and for all of us. I'm afraid there are more days like these coming our way.
Yep. do
Farkas
watch the
has always
VODs when
been a
I
cool
can.
place.
As for your
Never
art,
very
I
well
like
to
it.
do.
Looks good. Thank you. And I appreciate you watching the VOD as well when you can.
Until about 10 years ago, our region was a battlefield for the people of the Sreng region to the north. And
I
after
hope
the
you
late
enjoy,
king
and I
fell,
appreciate your
the whole
support.
kingdom became unstable. So it's no real surprise that more and more people are resorting to thievery just to survive.
One thing that's probably going to happen. It's almost like 3:20. Yeah, that's crazy late. One thing that's I'm hoping to do on this channel at some point before the end of the year, I think we're ramping up for the Extra Life Marathon soon. After that, going to start looking into doing some D&D streams, which I know you have experience with. There are members of my Boss Rush crew that are experienced in D&D, and we're going to do at least one stream where they teach us who haven't played D&D before, like how to play, and I can start figuring out the logistics of how do I stream D&D, and like the type of equipment we need, and the way I'd want to lay out this page in order to facilitate that. But it is something we are looking into doing at some point, and I know you have experience in doing that as well. Not trying to take your viewers or anything.
And there are those rumors of the current regent being too busy chasing the ladies to bother with governing. Don't worry, I get the irony.
You are both a DM and a player with it.
The whole damn kingdom is in decline because of nonsense like that. I'm hoping once we get Dimitri on the throne, everything will get better.
I have never played D&D.
Anyway,
I have done...
I'll leave it up to you to decide how you want to use our reward.
I've played lots of games that have D&D mechanics in them, or
And
their own
Professor,
twist on D&D.
If I could, I'd still like to buy you a meal sometime. No, I'm just asking a friend to hang out, that's all. Again though, thank you for everything, Professor. I couldn't have done it alone.